What's going on, guys? So today we have 5 ways to be a bit more productive. So hope you're enjoying this one. Let's get to it. So 5 ways to work smarter, not harder. The disclaimer I will give before we start is, of course, I'm not like a productivity god, but given that I've been in school for about 20 years at this point, these are just a couple things I've learned that have helped me increase my productivity, despite not being like super type A. So the first thing is to create an active versus a passive to-do list. So everyone has a to-do list, but the way I like to break mine down is through tasks that are active will require me to be 100% present and there, as opposed to passive, which are tasks that I need to get done but don't require me to always like be paying that much attention. So some examples for active things are, for example, writing an essay, finishing math homework, watching a lecture that I need to watch to make flashcards about, or even doing a group project. When I'm making my to-do list, I almost always prioritize the things that are due tomorrow, which is like the first thing, and then all the way down in terms of like the things that are due a week or much later in the day. So you'll see here I organized it by things that are due the most close in time to things that are due like the least close in time. Same thing with passive things, right? Almost every day you will always have things that you need to do just to maintain your daily lifestyle, whether that's responding to emails, whether that's folding laundry, whether that's doing the dishes. I also include these in my to-do list because it, one, helps me feel good when I finish them, but two, because I need to actually do these things to maintain my life, right? So by creating an active list and a passive list, I'm already saying, okay, here are the things I really need to be focused for, and here are the things that I need to get done, but I don't need to be entirely focused for, right? Like, for example, when I'm doing the dishes, you're just doing the dishes, you're chilling, right? You can probably be doing something else while you're there. So now, I want to address the first part, which is when you're focused on the active work, the way you're going to optimize your time is when you're doing the active things, do them in a way that is on your desk, focused, zoned in, okay? And I know this is tough, but you really do have to settle down. So again, we're not talking about the passive things, right? When you're doing the active things in your to-do list, you should do them at your desk with your phone, not at your desk. I usually put my phone on my bed. And then I do them in a way that's called the Pomodoro technique. The Pomodoro technique is I will work for 25 minutes and then I will take a 5 minute break. I will work for 25 minutes and then I will take a 5 minute break. I will work for 25 minutes, then I'll take a 5 minute break. I'll work for 25 more minutes and then I'll take a 25 minute break, right? By doing this, I actually time myself when I do these things and I use an app called Forest. I'm actually able to be very effective in the 25 minutes I'm working. And then in 5 minutes I get off, I go and check my phone, do everything I want to do, and then I will keep going and, just chill that way. This way, when I'm doing my active things, I'm fully 100% here and optimizing my time. But when I don't, and when I'm in my break, I can actually chill and take a break. This entire workflow is very underrated. I know it sounds very simple, but when you actually do this, you will be blown away by the results. If I could give like a Nobel Prize for the things I've discovered, this would be like the top thing. The Pomodoro technique deserves a Nobel Prize because I was initially like, this is stupid, and then I did it, and I was like, this is brilliant. 25 minutes is just enough time for me to feel focused, and then we're getting the 5 minutes of getting to be on my phone again is like the perfect guilty, like, guilt stress-free remover, right? Because you can actually then catch up with everything. So we now talked about the things that you can do when you're in your active time to optimize your workflow. What about your passive time? So here's where I like to say multitasking does not always decrease productivity. I know most of the productivity gurus will say that multitasking decreases productivity, and I agree with that if it's related to your active tasks, right? Like if you're trying to write an essay and do your math homework and do your group project, that is going to detract from each of those individual tasks at the sake of like trying to multitask. But I do think multitasking can be helpful for these passive tasks, which is why I asked you to make your to-do list in terms of the active things where you need to be 100% present and your passive things where you don't need to be 100% present, right? So for example, let me give you an example of what I did yesterday. I knew that I needed to do the dishes. So when I was doing my dishes, I was actually watching a Coursera course on like finance because I'm learning finance in business school. Again, when I'm doing the dishes, I don't need to be 100% present in doing the dishes. I'm doing the dishes. But at the same time, I could also be learning something or listening to a podcast, right? So those passive tasks are actually critical pieces of your day where you could actually potentially be doing something else and maybe make your day a little bit more fun or more chill, right? So this is where I'm saying multitask does not decrease productivity, because oftentimes when I'm doing my passive tasks, I can get something else done alongside it that actually helps me in my day, right? So for example, another thing that I often do is when I'm folding my laundry, I'll listen to a podcast. Another thing that I'll do is I will often only respond to emails when I go for a walk, right? Because otherwise, emails can be something that take up such a big part of your day that you waste your time responding to emails when if I'm sitting on my desk, I don't want to be distracted by emails. So what I'll do is I don't even check emails unless I am going on a walk. And that's when I respond to all my emails, because that way I can get my steps in, I get some exercise, and I can say, oh, phew, I've addressed my emails, right? Similarly, another thing I do when I'm going on a walk is sometimes I'll do flashcards, because again, flashcards are a passive thing. You don't entirely need to be that present when you're doing flashcards. Of course, if you're trying to optimize your time, maybe, but sometimes I like to just get out of my rut and go for a walk. And when I'm doing that, I like to do some other things that help me accomplish these passive tasks, right? Such as doing some flashcards or reviewing what I need to do or responding to emails. And that's why I have a passive section of my to-do list, which I always save for the fact that when I leave to go for my walk, those are the things I'm going to be doing. Speaking of ruts, the fourth tip is how to get out of a rut, okay? I know we've all been in a rut, and I'm going to define a rut in my own unique way. A rut is when you're doing something that you know should take maybe 5 minutes, but it's taking you 15 to 20 minutes, and it's not even that good of a quality, right? I know we've all been here. I was here when I was studying for my board exams. I've been here almost every day if I'm like really tired or annoyed by something, and I still just force myself to do it. And that is when you're in a rut, right? Because let's say you are so used to, I don't know, writing an essay that usually an essay takes you 3 hours. But in this essay, you've been working on one paragraph for 3 hours and you're like, damn, I am not getting anything done. But guess what? The unfortunate part about a rut is because you spent more time on it. So for example, something that took you 5 minutes is now taking you 15, 20 minutes. You feel like you've already put in 20 minutes at this point. You really want to get this done because you know that it usually takes you less time. So the unfortunate part about a rut is that it's self-fulfilling. Because you spent more time on it than you want to spend on it, you feel like you have to sit here and continue to spend time on it so you can get it done. It's much harder for you to say, I'm going to cut my losses and stop working and just go for a walk, right? But guess what? From my personal experience, I have realized that continuing to work when I'm in a rut not only leads to lower quality, but also burns out my ability to be effective in other things. So, like when I was studying for step 2, I remember sitting at my desk. I was reading a sentence. I read that sentence over and over and over again, and I was like, this is not registering for me at all. And guess what? I would then sit there for the next 2 hours and try to force myself because I'd say, like, why am I so stupid? Why am I not getting this? I need to get this. And I would spend 2 hours, and then I just wouldn't get it, right? So instead, what you need to do is know when you're in a rut and take the L. Take that sunk cost of time and instead go for a walk, go for a run, do something else, do the dishes, do your laundry, go take a shower. Because guess what? You need to get your brain out of that circuit because your brain is in a circuit that is clearly not working and you're forcing it to continue in that circuit that leads to it not working even more. And instead, if you just go for a run, if you just do the dishes, if you just take a shower, your brain resets and then you come back and you're like, damn, like I really shouldn't have been freaking out that much about this, right? So here's my solution. When you're in a rut, take the L. Take the sunk cost of whatever it is, like let's say something that took you 5 minutes took you 20 minutes. Well, take those 15 minutes you lost and say, cool, I'm in a rut. Me focusing on this is not going to miraculously change my rut. So I need to go from maybe what I'm doing right now to something else. So maybe I'm going to go for a walk or go for a run. And trust me when I say you will be all the better for it. You're going to come back with your mindset a little bit better. You're going to realize like this is not the end all be all and you can still overcome this, right? So recognize when you're in a rut. And the way you get out of rut is often to switch from that task to another task and then come back to that task maybe a bit later, right? And that, trust me, has helped me a lot. The fifth tip is to leverage the send later feature. What do I mean by this? So if you go to Outlook, if you go to Gmail, next to the send button, there is actually an arrow, and that actually allows you to send an email later. And this is a game changer, guys, let me tell you. Because when this feature wasn't present, I remember I had an add-on that would allow me to do this because this wasn't a feature in Gmail and it changed the game back in the day. And now Gmail has realized this is a huge feature, so they added it, right? So the reason why I leverage this feature is because, for example, remember when I told you I often group together sending all my emails out? The problem with sending all your emails out is sometimes you may be doing it at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or maybe at a time that's not ideal. So for me, when I do respond to my emails at 3 a.m., it's really weird, at least from a professional standpoint, to get an email from someone at 3 a.m. So what I'll do is leverage the send later feature and send that email for 8, 9 a.m. So they actually think I'm one of those more productive morning people when in reality I'm a night owl. But regardless, I just leverage the send later feature in that way. But the other thing that is so crucial for the send later feature is it really helps you plan your own life. What do I mean by this? So let's say you're out on a walk, you're enjoying the day, you see a squirrel, and then suddenly you remember that you need to write a paper on the bubonic plague or something. I don't know, something that you realize you had totally forgotten about. The send later feature allows you to send yourself a notification much closer to the point in time that you feel that's going to be relevant for you. So if that paper is due in a month and a half, this send later feature, you can even say like, send me an email 1.25 months from now. So that way you'll get a notification of this assignment literally 2 weeks before it's due. And that is so crucial, right? It's so nice to get a notification when things are relevant. So for example, right now you may not care at all about the bubonic plague paper that's due in 1.5 months. But guess what? In 1.25 months, you sure as hell will care because the deadline's coming up. And how are you going to remind yourself of it? Send yourself an email at that particular time. And the reason I like this send later feature more than I like text sometimes is because the send later feature can actually cater to the specific deadline that you want. If you know for a fact you almost always forget your mom's birthday, then maybe you should send yourself an email 3 days before your mom's birthday to remind yourself that your mom's birthday is coming up, right? And you can schedule these emails for months in advance. So leverage this feature. It really does help you get things done. So with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. These are tips that have definitely helped me make the most of my day, and I've been chilling most of the time now that I've learned how to use these tips effectively. I hope they help you. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.